think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
That's why we bring up Donald Trump all the time.
And how fucking weird he is. I love this turn. I know everybody's talking about it, but I just think it's brilliant.
It's nice to put a label on it.
They're just fucking weirdos.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's
You can
fucking weird to
dismiss them.
just obsess over, like reproductive rights and people's business and in the bedroom. Yeah. Just it's nice.
No,
Yeah, if you want to really have you checked out Jon Stewart? He's the authority on like taking this shit to task. He's doing really well.
Yeah, well, I guess he kind of, in a way, I mean, that's the strategy. That's always been the strategy, and it's like a political party is now finally, life is imitating art in the way that you would have wanted it to. I hadn't thought about that until you just said that. They still got to tone it down though, like in a political ad or whatever. But like it's ballsy. They're just like, isn't he just? And Kamala is like fucking on point. Like her presentation of the whole thing is like she's smiling, she's having a good time, the crowd's having a good time too. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I like that he's avoiding debating her too. That's not.
Yeah, he's running scared.
That's a bad look for him.
He doesn't I don't think he stands to win anything, and also it's too early. That could still happen. Like they could organize that shit within a month, no problem. 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. With his senility, though, is it like a really great idea? Even?
Yeah, probably not. No, it's going to be embarrassing. He's an embarrassing old man, and it's like, and you've heard this from me a million times. Like one of the reasons I don't use his name and I give him a ridiculous name is because he doesn't deserve dignity. And I don't. Yeah, it should be taken from him in any and all ways possible, and it's the surest way to just get him to fuck off. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm optimistic.
There's more sting to racist grandpa now. Like there's juice in not running a decrepit opponent out. I like it.
Yeah. So I said that I would make my prediction on air. I don't like doing so, but or like predictions are general because everybody gets shit wrong all the time. But I'm gonna go with Kamala's gonna win. I think this is the sauce. It's gonna be, they're gonna squeak by, obviously. Like it's gonna be like 51% of the vote and bare electoral college win, that kind of thing. But if Biden can do it, then Kamala could absolutely do it. And I think this elation that everybody's feeling is gonna carry the day in the way that like the silent majority carried the day for Nixon or something like that, or when nobody expected racist grandpa to win because like he energized something and nobody looked. Lots of people looked, but the so-called mainstream media didn't.
I've already seen people speculating that now Harris has started sneaking immigrants across the border and that's what's boosting our numbers. Like why didn't they think of that in the first place? Then if it's the same campaign, it's the same team, really.
Right.
They could have just done that for Biden.
Yeah. No, it's dumb. They're dumb. They just say dumb things.
It's really dumb.
Yeah. Because it's not about truth. It's just about like forging a feeling and a worldview. Like an explanation that saves the appearances of reality. Like they're right off the reservation of fucking reality.
Yeah. What had a feeling?
What's that?
Hong Kong circa 1980s, 1990s.
That was a very particular feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That was also off the reservation of reality.
Just to say.
What?
Just a little.
I see. Just a smidge. Yeah. Just a tiny. So today on the Extinction Agenda with James
and Chris,
we're talking, like Chris said, some Hong Kong action films, 2 of them. The original Police Story from starring Jackie Chan, directed by Jackie Chan, co-written by Jackie Chan from 1985, and then Hard Boiled, directed by John Woo, and I think either a story by John Woo or written by John Woo. I forget. I know he's involved somewhere in the story, but he also has some co-writers. And then starring Chow Yun-fat, which I'd never seen either of these movies, but this first from 1992. But it's just a genre that I've never really kind of got into, and I watched that documentary about the Hong Kong stuntmen, and I was like, oh shit, okay, I'm an idiot. There's been this whole universe of like just mangled bodies out there and high risk maneuvers that I haven't taken the time to appreciate. So here we are.
Yeah, some stuntmen really got fucked up in these movies.
Yeah. I would say more Police Story. Hard Boiled was a little like, for all of John Woo's extravagance, it's like there were a couple things where I was like, whoa, how did they do that? But generally it's more of a ballet, like the sort of action that you get. Whereas Jackie is like a circus, like high up on the ropes or whatever. What'd you guys think?
I did not like. Police Story is okay given its context and time. Like it has some great action set pieces. You keep Jackie Chan's talents and charm are on display. Didn't particularly care for it. Fucking loved Hard Boiled. Like honestly, like maybe like ranking up in the top action movies of all time for me.
I love that. Okay. I'm pretty excited to talk about that because like I don't know. I feel I see what you're seeing. But I can't sign on. James, how do you?
I feel like Police Story was, I don't know. I was a little flat on Police Story, but I did find it picked up, and I did like some of the, I did like how the comedy played into the action, because whenever they played off a comedy scene, like the fake knife attack at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they played off a comedy scene, even though it was like very action packed and actually pretty violent, when they flipped to the actual violence and action, you could feel it ramp up like 60%.
Mm-hmm.
And just gave you a bit more of a holy shit, in between scenes. So that little juxtaposition was nice. And then Hard Boiled, I could see where you're going with that, Chris, but I felt like there was so much gun violence, and the story was quite good. I just felt like it was long.
Yeah,
it could have been. I think it could have been cut back a bit because the gun violence got a little droning.
That's fair.
Like some of the scenes were clever and some of the gunfights were better than others, and some of them I think could have just been axed, but I don't know.
I think maybe I fall in that camp. I found a lot of drone, kind of a constant percussion, like I don't know. I think it's one of those movies also that maybe you see that on the big screen, maybe you take a moment to realize what you're going to watch before you watch it. Let it wash over you as lights and sound. Maybe you have a different experience, but
I broke it up into 2 acts actually, because like once the hospital showed up, and I was like, you know what, shit's gonna get real. I'm gonna take a break for tonight and come back to it fresh. And
right.
Yeah, maybe that did after a couple of days, like I was focused on that action in that hospital. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, well, I don't think there's a whole lot to say about Police Story, other than it was a response. I mean, like, okay, so what am I getting this from? Obviously the Wikipedia page, but I also got this Routledge Action and Adventure Cinema edited by Yvonne Tasker. And both sources will talk about how this movie was inspired by Jackie's really bad experience making a cop movie in America. He had a couple movies in America, which I didn't realize he was in Cannonball Run and 2, which is, I don't know,
Wow.
you guys probably haven't seen those, but
I've seen him, but I don't remember that.
yeah, okay, yeah, he's in that shit. I was like, really? I don't know, I haven't seen it for like decades, obviously, but this is where I got the idea for the outtakes at the end. Because at the end of Cannonball Run, they'd always have Burt Reynolds like fucking busting the gut, screwing up a line. And he thought that shit was so fun. So that's why he got the outtakes at the end of this movie. But anyway, he had a bad experience with American cop dramas and not cop, like police movies, and with the shitty action in America. He just found it so slow. And the story's kind of boring. And so he set off to make his own, is the story, and this is what he came up with.
Well,
not bad.
Interesting take. I think that it could have been a good movie if it wasn't. They openly admit this, that he had some ideas for stunts that he wanted to do, some set pieces, and they wrote a script that would accommodate that. So I want to do a thing in the house, so we'll have, and the movie feels like it, because there's like large swaths of this movie that are barely watchable, and then there's stuff that's super charming and interesting. Yeah. It goes from boring to interesting to boring to back and forth
to interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a good blend. Like I like the scene with the girlfriend celebrating the birthday.
Yeah,
I thought that was great.
Oh, right.
The double cake smash. It was just so stupid.
Yeah,
and there was no real action in there. But I think that I honestly think that his comedy mind is underrated sometimes. But I mean, no, I think over his career he's done enough comedy to stand on that ground, But I thought the comedy was there. You could see it, and then, but yeah, like even the scene at the beginning. Like the sting at the beginning with the car coming through the little shanty town or whatever, that was pointless. You could have removed that and started in the police station. And there was a lot of stuff like that, like you say in the movie, where it was like you thought, well, this is okay, but I mean, like, and then you could see things like what you're talking about, James, where like the bus thing. Clearly, like that's a stunt sequence he wanted, because it's ludicrous that would even unfold. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, even the opening shantytown thing. I think one of the things that I tried to keep in mind, and that I often try and keep in mind in old school action, is like how many takes are possible given what I've just seen.
Right.
And that shantytown, like that's a single take, right? Like there's no way. And so many of these are just one take, or they would need to be. Like you get one opportunity to jump on that pole and smash that shit all the way down, and rupture your pelvis when you land. I think what this movie gets credited for, or what ought to get it in Hong Kong action in general, but I mean this movie quite a bit, is like the stunts happen, and they work, and it's really remarkable, and something that is like absolutely lacking in Western stunts, and it's it's because like fucking Hong Kong's a wild place. There's no regulations. There's nothing stopping anyone from doing any of this. And so they do it, and I was really impressed with that, at least. But at the end of the day, James, I think you're right. Like, what does all of this add up to, other than like a sort of a comedic spectacle?
Well, yeah, and there was in terms of like depth of cop drama or anything, there wasn't any. Or I'm thinking about the parking brake scene and shit. Like it was madness. It was great. It was great fun. I don't know. And honestly, the mall fight scene was spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like you say, there wasn't a lot to say about it, because it was like, yeah, there were like spectacular bits of action. There was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of comedy. But like really in terms of like depth of story, like you say, it was more like skits. Like do a comedy skit, do an action skit, there wasn't really like a cohesive, like really great through line, like a little bit with police, but I mean, I don't know. The one of the best acting sequence was at the end when he went into the police station. For me, like just I thought when he took the police captain hostage.
Oh, right.
I guess that wasn't too at the end, but it was that was madness, and Jackie's acting was on point, and that was really tense. There was a lot of
I see. A
lot of movement, a lot of tension, but like I don't know, I like you say, I can't put together like, oh, this was a real piece, you know.
Yeah, it gestures towards like I don't know, not police corruption, but police ineffectiveness. But like you're right. It's like at an hour and 20 when Jackie's he's the prime suspect because like someone shot someone with his gun or whatever, and
they set him up and chloroformed him, and it was like.
But he gives him that speech, which I don't remember, but he does give a speech about like you don't care about us, you don't care about the normal people, something like that. And then at the end, the inspector or whatever does, like he turns an eye, he accepts the sort of justice that Jackie represents. But it like, okay, so like that's a kind of like a little like a paintbrush of story, put up over top of it, like a patina, but just so that it was about something, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. Yeah.
For a second,
go ahead.
Oh, just for a second, I thought you guys dropped off. That's all.
Oh, okay. No, there's a scene that I liked. Talking to that theme of like the police incompetence or whatever, where there's the commanders are throwing darts, so they keep missing wildly, and they're also like talking about strategy at the same time, just kind of like being self-congratulatory as they try to like they're like, yeah, like they put this guy in the poster, like we'll use him as a sort of top cop propaganda piece. Yeah, he's sort of like the recruiting guy. But he's not like, he's also like he's a super cop, but he's sort of bumbling too. Like, I mean, I guess part of the message is that he kind of has to embrace the way that he does things. But like even like I went back to rewatch that scene, the downhill like chase.
The shanty?
Yeah, the shanty thing, because as you said, like it is one take and like things are exploding all over the place. They're like knocking down all the buildings, and he like, as a cop, he makes a choice to level a village in the pursuit of drugs, which just seems really, really shitty. Like a lot of people are displaced.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, they'd have to do it anyway, right? They're cops.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like undermining the exactly.
Like you say, it's still the ineffectiveness of the police.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that analogy too with the two guys when they were like, but when they finally concocted their master plan and they both threw the dart together and both horrifically missed. That was a good moment. That's funny. But I mean, I guess that's it was comedy. I was trying to be a comedy and then had, like you say, it was Jackie trying to showcase everything that a movie could be, maybe.
Yeah, he also, because he, I forget when, I don't know when the interview was. It was on the Criterion, and he was talking about, well, I don't know. Fuck, I forget. It was like scaling back on violence or spectacle or being safer or whatever. But he was like, this is a family business for him, and so he's like, well, if I cut back on these things, then my family's not going to be able to work, and all the money that I bring in to enrich my family, it stops. So it's interesting to think that sort of thing is driving all of this sort of buffoonery. But it also makes like the fact that he's become like a CCP shill as an old man, it really tracks for me. If that's in fact the case, that he's just like a family business, and sort of has to and is concerned about like violence, kind of like that Plato thing, right? You know, where art has to serve the state. I think Jackie's art serves the state. You know, it mildly criticizes it, but is ultimately embraces it.
It's very true. It's very true. Yeah, it's spectacle. It's going to take your mind off things, but it's not going to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
Except for obviously things go wrong sometimes, but it's corruption that we can root out and put behind bars.
Yeah, this isn't. Yeah, this ain't The Wire.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's Police Story.
That is Police Story.
Yeah, it's fucking. So what doesn't embrace mediocrity in the status quo? Hard Boiled. Okay. So I don't know what's like. There's lots good about this movie. I do, however, want to start off with the fact that like it's an incoherent movie, which like just on its face. I mean, Chow Yun-fat kills that fucking quote unquote witness at the beginning in the tea house, and people have written about this, but it's still true. And like the police, the captain comes in and he's like, that was an important witness. And then like later on in the movie, it becomes a police officer. And like those two, like it never actually matched anything. There's an explanation for that, but nonetheless, it was, I found it's things like that, like a certain sort of like basic competence of storytelling was often missing from this movie. In other areas, though, it was quite good. It definitely leagues and leagues above Police Story. Like that's a very low bar to jump over, though. Particularly if you're
so hard on Police Story.
Well, what? It's not better than Hard Boiled.
No, not
Am I wrong?
Close.
No.
Okay. No, Hard Boiled was excellent. And there was a lot of like I don't know. I'm excited for Chris's take on this, but I didn't read the plot synopsis or anything, so I actually stood up off the couch when the bad guy was revealed to be like an undercover cop when he pulled back the hammer on the gun. I was like, what the fuck is that? What is this? I stood up. Kate's like, what's wrong with you? Like, never mind, Kate, because she wasn't watching it. I was like, something just happened here. It was pretty cool. There was a lot of cool. There was swerves. There was dynamic. There was bromance. There was a lot to like. Then there was a lot of like, everybody's acting got sort of like stretched out. Also, soundtrack changed from smooth jazz, which was really agitating to me, to like, so there was a bit of a synth thing going on, which I was okay with, actually.
Okay. I hadn't, the saxophone didn't bother me as much, so that I ended up thinking about it, but I'm with you. It definitely, like, it's a particular time period. It's a 1992 Bill Clinton era saxophone kind of thing.
I didn't like it at first, but then it became a saxophone solo was like the soundtrack I need now when a cop tragically dies. Like, that's just gonna always go through my head.
Okay, well then I think they do that with Lethal Weapon, don't they? Maybe you just
I don't remember.
Lethal Weapon in your life.
Honestly, a little bit reminded me of like Sin City soundtrack with those like jazz fucking noises.
Oh, well, it's probably the other way around then.
Yeah, obviously Sin City riffing off this style of, I don't know what the fuck this was. It's just like insane.
Jazz fusion.
Yeah, Chow Yun-fat, the man who just wanted to be a fucking musician. No,
that's right.
Leave him alone.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, actually, I'll get into this later, but like, I think sensitivity is really important in those elements being preserved in those characters is like crucial to a vision that Wu has about these characters, I think.
Yeah, because that, like, the other dude makes those little swans, like the origami. What's his name? Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah. For all of the people he kills.
Yeah, and they have those soulful conversations about like, when I'm done with this, I'm going to sail to Antarctica because like, no one will ever trouble me there. And I think Chow Yun Fat admits that like Tony makes the crane for every time he kills somebody, and Chow Yun Fat's like, every time a police officer dies, I write a jazz song.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's a sort of a hidden, although it may be like, and that jazz in the background, is that the Death of a Cop jazz that we're listening to? I don't know.
Yeah. I want to go back and see if they played it at that funeral. I think they did.
Yeah. Okay. So reading about this, I was reading from John Woo, The Films by Kenneth Hall, and it's basically like, it opens up with like sort of a larger thematic analysis of all these movies, and then devotes a chapter to each of the movies. John Woo didn't do like a whole lot of movies. I forget when this second edition came out. I came away reading it thinking like, there's more under the hood than I realized. But even so, I found myself like in James's shoes, which is just like, fuck, this is just going on, and it's another situation where I would really admired, as someone who practices martial arts and as someone who I was once on a TV set doing like some really minor, like extremely minor stunts. And that was an interesting experience. And it's kind of flavored my, or brought attention to action in movies. And like, I'm just thinking about the amount of energy that is expended here, and the amount of like coordination that's required to have those pockets popping off and all over the place, and cameras set off, and
on a $4 million budget.
Yeah.
Which would have gone further, I'm sure, in Hong Kong in the 1990s, but still, it's like, it doesn't sound like a lot of money.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to judge that. Like, what kind of, like Hong Kong dollars or dollars?
Yeah, I'm not sure, actually. I haven't good look into.
Yeah.
What the exchange rate would have been.
So it's like 4 million USD? Is that how they calculate it?
I don't know. That's the question.
That's
and like, how far do Hong Kong dollars go? I mean, like, they're they haven't been passed off to China yet, like Hong Kong hasn't. So they're still part of Great Britain. So are they operating on the pound? I don't know. Questions abound, man.
Yeah. We should have dug into the finances. We didn't.
Yeah.
We're not hard boiled. That's okay.
Well, that's one thing that's revealed of this movie. This movie is revealed to me.
Yeah. I know, but speaking of like, yeah, like the choreography, like the sort of like staginess of it, I remember that it really was impressed on me in that scene in the like wherever chop shop or whatever, when they have that the triad meeting there between the old and the new forces, and like just you get these long shots of like the entire floor, and just sparks are flying off everywhere. It's like, it's really kind of beautiful the way it's set up. And that like a lot of things are going to explode in there. So it's just like sort of also showcasing the environment that they're going to be demolishing.
Yeah, that was cool. It was funny to see the guys, like the welders they had up there, like sending off those like waterfall sparks, and they were up on scaffolding, literally doing nothing. Just making sparks off a chunk of metal, because there's no reason to be up there doing that. But it was funny because it made like, it was very like, it gave a lot of like aura to the scene, but for a split second I was just like, what the fuck would they be doing? They're not doing anything up there.
As far as I know, that's what you have to do in a mechanic shop.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah. I had the same vision, like thought though, when I was looking at it. Like, it felt very music video-y. Like you're in an Aerosmith video all of a sudden.
We're doing purposeful spark waterfalls.
Yeah. Because that's it, man. It's all about evoking like light and sound and motion, using human bodies in ways that you're not really accustomed to seeing. And having and like one of the sorry, Chow Yun Fat just like shot that dude in the head. It's all covered in flour, and he gets blood all over his face.
That's amazing. He's like a spirit of vengeance.
Yeah,
he's like a ghost.
Yeah.
So I might as well explain.
And he still has a toothpick in his mouth.
Yeah. The explanation for why the beginning of this movie is so strange, like that tea house scene. Like, I don't know, Chris, if you ended up doing any reading about it, but
no.
So this movie was supposed to be originally about someone killing babies, like poisoning babies.
Shit.
And they like, I don't know what part of this movie, what part of the movie this was supposed to be, but it was filmed in a tea house that was about to be demolished. So they filmed as a bunch of shit in it because they knew it was going to get torn down. So that, that's why they went hog wild with the set, but it was a real set. And everything they filmed here was for that old movie, but then the producers spoke to someone in America about the premise of the movie, and they were like, "Oh God, no, that's not going to sell here." So they made some adjustments.
Wow.
I love that they were still like, yeah, we got to have babies in peril though.
It feels like at the end of the movie, maybe they were like, well, we did commit to these babies. Somebody
got these babies on rent. I mean,
somebody paid for that, so I mean,
they paid $100,000 in fucking babies. Got to make use of that.
Why don't we piss out a leg fire?
Yeah, well, okay. So that's one thing so obviously this movie is influenced, and similarly with Police Story, and I think that's the through line between these two things, is like how Hong Kong is picking up and working with the police drama, which is like sort of like the buddy cop police drama, which I feel is largely an American export. And Hard Boiled is, like Lethal Weapon. I mean, that's the example that it gets placed besides, like it's Hicks and wait, no, Murtaugh, is it Hicks? Riggs. But it's also like it's different. I mean, like one has a sort of a secret life, one has a public life. They meet each other accidentally. The encounters between them are still bickering and friendly, but they're a bit more, they're always like measuring dicks against each other, but at the same time, they're building a sort of camaraderie and showing off to each other in your sort of typical buddy cop fashion, but they're also two sensitive souls, which is another difference. So he's got I don't know if it's a unique blend, but it's a good blend. It's a good way of approaching the buddy cop drama. I don't think I've seen that before. Like what you said, James, like when Tony's revealed to be, spoilers, the undercover dude. It's interesting because I didn't know. Why is his girlfriend getting flowers? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I was shocked too.
Yeah, he was
shocked.
The whole thing too is like it's a great way to the guy was so fucking violent too, and he was such a killer. Like there was a little reluctance behind him that like they didn't really give you anything that you thought he'd be a good guy, and then to have that introduction take place that far into the movie, that's something you don't usually see in the mechanics.
That's true.
So that I don't know, that was really cool. Also, favorite scene, I'm just gonna put it out right now. When he kills a fucking cop in the hospital shootout.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Oh, that's gonna stay with me.
Yeah.
And Chow Yun-fat just fucking grabs him. It's like, fuck you, you're hallucinating. It's nothing. You didn't shoot anybody. Fucker. Like it was just like just so that they could keep moving, so that they could keep pushing through their war zone. It was very like soldier-ish, like they're at war and they have to go from end to end. Like mission's not complete. We need to move. And then that led to that hallway back and forth, where they were sort of like passing between each other with the shotgun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's an amazing
going side by
shot.
side. That's incredible.
Like
and you could see them kind of like
too.
They were exchanging each other, like almost like they were sort of one. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was very metaphorical after the elevator incident, and I don't know. I thought it was a really cool piece. Yeah, it was in continuous, and it was just everything about how that sequence played out. I thought was gorgeous at the end. That was a big one where I heard earlier I finished the last whatever that was 14 minutes of the movie after you said it was a great movie. And I was like, I don't know. And then when I saw that, I was like, no, this is excellent. I'm gonna remember this movie.
Yeah. The during that scene, just before, I think it's like a minute before, Tony shoots the other cop. My wife is like, yeah, like how would you like not kill somebody on your own side in this situation? I was like, I don't know, they're just good, but no, like they thought about that, just the frantic action and just in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought that earlier in the hospital fight. I was like, there's so many fucking cops everywhere. Some of them are undercover. Like if someone comes around a corner with a gun, how would you not shoot them?
And it's just the fact that he's in white, like, you know, you just kind of catch a glimpse, and yeah.
Yeah, you guys attach much more significance to that event than I did.
Oh, yeah.
I'm struggling to remember the particular scene. I'm trying to find it, you know, flipping around through. Anyway, yeah, I think that back to the war mentality, like this is a ridiculous scenario to say. But nonetheless, like, you know, like this hospital under siege, like there's like this secret base underneath, and you know they face like James Bond type issues, like release the gas, and you're like, what? These guys are just cops.
You know what it is though? I think this is part of like why I love this movie, is that there is an undertone to this movie that is metaphorical for Hong Kong's situation, I think, and like what is the issue here? Is that Johnny
Tequila?
No, the golden suited, like the arms dealer. Wherever there's war, there's Johnny. I can't remember his last name. Anyway, it's literally bringing in
Johnny Wong
guns from China that are destabilizing society, and like that. When you think about that and think about the action and the sort of logic of the movie. And the fact that Johnny is like overturning all the laws and all the rules and all the conventions and tradition to be there and sort of like establishing his own order. I think that there's a resonance to the movie that I really appreciated. And even the fact that it is a hospital, like that's sort of like symbolic of that overturn of like, you know, what is a sacred place? Like it's the hospital. It's the place where that shouldn't be part of like a turf war. But he's taken advantage of that and just kind of installed himself there. And like he'd created his secret underground facility where he's got all his guns.
I forget where I read this, but there was also this idea that, or maybe it's even in the movie, he says like, I'm going to set up my next thing under a police station.
There you go.
It is there's an inverse to that. So a fellow that I definitely want us to talk about, like the late period works of like around the year 2000, 2004, 2006, Johnny To. I just watched Breaking News, which is kind of it's a movie about propaganda and the police, and but the issue in that movie is the influx of criminals from mainland China, and the police are, I guess it's maybe the same thing actually, that the police in Hong Kong, because it's not quite fully the handover yet, like the official handover has happened, but it's prior to China really locking down. So I wonder whether, and the police are trying to deal with it in order to save face, in order to we can still keep the corruption out of Hong Kong, but of course they themselves are incredibly corrupt because it's a Johnny To movie. But nonetheless, it's like, I think maybe it's just an element of police drama at this time. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to draw conclusions from like two examples, but I think they're two sort of potent examples. That's interesting.
Yeah. It can't be a coincidence too that this is John Woo's last movie in Hong Kong before he goes stateside.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's got to be on his mind.
I suppose, yeah. Well, but why? Because like the handoff's not till 1997.
Yeah, you wouldn't be thinking, in 5 years, like this massive thing is gonna happen. What am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do with my family?
It's a bigger canvas. It's bigger budgets, bigger this, and he's gone back to China, didn't he? Like, am I wrong about that? Like, did he only make? I might be totally fucking wrong about
I'm actually not even sure. Like, actually, I think after Face Off, I was like, fuck this guy. But that's also, I was quite surprised by this movie, because I was like, I think I was more familiar with his Americanized stuff, and then
Oh no, because
like
he just did Silent Night,
ridiculous
right?
acts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, in Mission Impossible 2, I kind of want to go back to it, and I had discarded that. And Face Off, as fun as that movie is, I like the gun violence, and I think it's because like the actors aren't as like Hong Kong stunt actors are like I just think about the number of times that Tony throughout the movie, like for no good fucking reason, does a front flip just to keep low to the ground, and before he goes through a door or whatever. I'm just like, that's not easy to do, and it's like, and everything's so fast. Like even Chow Yun-fat is not an exceptional martial artist in any respect, but like everything's just like.
Oh, that's
Um,
true. The direction's so tight too. I think the direction plays a key in it because like you just kind of notice like there's so many tracking shots, the camera's always moving. There's like an engagement with the set that's tightening up the action. A lot of quick cuts as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it just kind of accelerates that. Like when the action's happening, it's just so tight.
Yeah, sorry, I was reminded of something. It's kind of like it kind of throws us off, that stuff about the action, but I was thinking Chow Yun-fat, he getting back to the theme of this, of like as the mainland China sort of being the invader, the social destabilizer, and that sort of thing. He had, to the extent he's done anything political, he's supported like the umbrella movement, according to Wikipedia. So like the Hong Kong protesters in 2014. So I mean, even there, I mean, like whereas Jackie's like a CCP shill at this point. I think that that too is like it represents these two movies, although they're very similar in content. Well, not similar in content, but I mean like theme or subject matter or whatever. You can like the writing's on the wall as far as like what the politics of these creators are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really interesting. It's probably too much to pin it on just like these two movies with either person, but anyway. Great movie.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the enforcer, that like triad?
Mad Dog?
Yeah.
What's not to like? He's got one eye. He's an honorable crazy person. His like the amount of he's like a pro wrestler character that just showed up. Like I think you're
oh my god,
right.
yeah.
Like this movie operates in like it's not a real thing that happens, and and I think it's so dreamy. Like I'm very quick to say like because it's fiction. Like none of this is meant to be like real. And I just don't think it ever could be. Like what we're watching is, it's often
mood.
a ballet. Yeah.
It's just like it's almost like expressionistic or something.
Yeah. And which is why and I think what adds to it is like that same disjunct that I described at the beginning where he like quote unquote kills a witness. And how later in the movie, like, he killed a cop like that. It's all part of the same like kind of smear of sounds and images and light and like mild content. And it works. I think this is one of those movies, the more I talk about it, the more I think that actually it's pretty good.
You're gonna talk into it a little bit?
Yeah.
Good.
Might want to give this one the rewatch. Because I'm looking at it right now and I'm like, fuck, look at this. This is amazing.
Well, there's that other vector too where it's like the classic crime. I mean, this is an old trope in gangster things, but like what's his name, Uncle Hoy. It's like looking after his guys. It's like, he always feeds us. He's like just a great old guy, but he's traditional, and like Johnny's about to push him out. So it's like Tony's trying to tell him, maybe you could go to Hawaii and like maybe sit this one out. Well, he won't do it because it's, and again, this ties into that sort of like the larger, I don't know if you want to call it patriotic, but just sort of like the political theme of like I've been here all my life. I can't leave now. Like this is where I am. This is my home. And he gets taken out, and it is sort of tragic. That I think one thing I do like about the way this movie's built, even though like, yeah, continuity problems, plot problems aside, it builds to really clear turns in its acts. And they're very like they're divided by some big surprises, and they really build up some momentum as they go. But that scene where Tony has to we'll meet at this triad location, like you can kill me and you can take over, but I want it to be you, Tony, that does it. I love how he Tony first kills him just with a pistol, and then the whole thing that Hoy was trying to negotiate was like, like just me, like not my men. There's no reason they have to die. And then he turns on him and takes the new weaponry. It's like a submachine gun or something like that, and then wastes them all, like in just like completely unnecessary, brutal moment. Which I think is why it did really surprise me that he turned out to be a cop.
Did we know that then?
We didn't know it at that point.
No.
Oh, okay. God, that's so much happened to make him like. Okay, yeah. The revelation is at like 1 hour and 17 minutes.
Yeah.
That's why it was such a big spin, and that was always such a weird transition to the buddy cop. The other thing too, that like the tea house thing, I think that's when, like you guys are saying, for the fantasy stuff, that it was established that he's a kind of a superhero.
Oh yeah.
He's not like ordinary, and hey, maybe you could imagine that he died in the tea house.
Oh wow!
And the rest is just
maybe if Neil Gaiman had written this, yeah.
But he and the way he just tells his fucking boss to fuck off, get out of my office, show me some respect, get the fuck out of here. He's just like not scared to be fired. I guess it's like a Riggs thing too,
Yeah, it's a little like, whereas like, yeah, I guess it is like a Riggs thing. Yeah, it's definitely not a Murtaugh thing. Who'd be worried about like, I'm retiring, too old for this shit. Yeah. So lots under the hood. In a way that you don't expect, because like it is so action driven, and to like, it holds the balance. I kind of really I hear The Killer is better. Although like some people really, like a lot of people really like this movie. Sorry, not some people, but.
I'll do The Killer anytime, man. I love this. I want to see more. But
I can't find it. For us to easily consume. I mean, I'm sure it's thievable out there, but I didn't try too hard.
Yeah. What do you think about the girlfriend? Because she's kind of in the thick of it at the end. In the maternity ward. Yeah,
they even before then, like she's she's receiving the flowers, like she's the Chow Yun-fat's girlfriend, but there's like strife between them. They're essentially a married couple, like
because he's lost touch with the sensitive side.
Yeah, I suppose so. Is that the issue?
I think so, because we'll talk about it in a minute, but yeah,
we could talk about it right now.
Well, I still want to cut right to you, but I guess I can.
Sure.
Because I think there is a logic to this. What's happening in the hospital? Like Chow Yun-fat has to learn to be a father, so it's like this is sort of like basically through the whole thing, like right. His conflict is that he's lost touch with the family, he's not anchored, right. By when she suggests like let's put cotton balls in the baby's ears, and he's like, do I have to? And when there's that one baby left, he's got to get him out of there. He's like, oh, such a good, I mean, it's so stupid, but he's like got the baby in one arm, he's like gunning down people with the other. It's just like the ultimate tension. Because these guys are perfectly willing to shoot babies, and he's put the cotton in the kid's ears. He takes a bullet, the blood splashes on the kid's face. He like is wiping the baby's face off, and then what saves him in the end is that baby, the fact he's there, because he's on fire, and the baby pisses on him.
Yeah, little piss pot.
Yeah.
There's definitely something to that. Also, two other things to layer on top of that. The first is sort of a continuation, is that like, the gangster or whatever, he's like, get on the ground, slap your face, like say you're worthless, that kind of thing. that's not the same thing as finding one's sensitivity, but it's like it shows a willingness to humble oneself, for the sake of another person or whatever. Like that I feel that too is part of the journey, even though he does like fucking blow the guy away, but he's not so proud that he can't, because like the way that everybody reacts while he's doing that, like it's like he's cutting off his own dick. Everyone's like, whoa,
It's true.
oh my god, I can't believe the hero is doing that. And then
Because it is a dominance thing, like obviously.
yeah. No, oh my goodness, he's taking it up the ass. And then the first thing is that there is sort of ultimately it ends up being a romantic triangle in a sort of weird way with what's her name? Sorry, we're just calling her the girlfriend.
Oh, I didn't get her name ever.
The girlfriend. We'll just continue with that then, because she doesn't really have a character beyond that. She.
Oh yeah, she does. She shoots that guy.
Well, she slaps the dude in the face. She's not like, she doesn't
Jenny.
lack courage. Jenny.
Oh no,
It's not that
sorry, that's from The Killer.
Okay, not Jenny. All right. But those flowers at the beginning are code from Tony. Tony's sending those flowers with the little message to her in order to go to send to the inspector, and he decodes it, and it's like, stop the mission or whatever. So like and he's receiving flowers from Tony, like it's sort of like a romantic thing is there. And Chow Yun-fat, he hands her that little rose, this has been written about, like that flower, this is my symbol, and that's that him sort of like, because there is some sort of like, you're taking my girlfriend kind of thing between the two of them, even though like that's definitely not happening. And he kind of takes her back in that moment by giving her a flower, which she doesn't notice right away, but then notices at the perfect time when it's determined that Chow Yun-fat's a good guy or something. So yeah.
Yeah. Flowers are expressing a lot there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Something else occurred to me while you were saying that is there's a level of disrespect in Johnny's attitude, even towards like the police artillery, like artillery is a bad word, but just their their standish. They just have 38s. Like, what do we have? We have a basement full of like automatic weapons. They're like firing rocket launchers at the cops and shit like that. So it's a bad scene. But it is at the 38 that ultimately takes Johnny out in that moment where Alan like sacrifices himself. Yeah. So it's like the restoration of order, status quo. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this whole movie, like, again, I'm happy to do it, but at the same time, I'm not happy to do it because I feel I'm doing it a lot. But like, it's just like this movie is all symbol.
It is. I was just gonna say, it's like it's operating on a symbolic level, like really largely.
Mm-hmm. And so another thing in this John Woo movie, the film's book, which I shared those little screen grabs or whatever. Like, his dad was a classical Chinese scholar of classical Chinese literature or something like that. And so John Woo himself, like, really actually, there's a couple like old Chinese novels that he really likes. And this movie supposedly, or many of John Woo's movies, like they evoke those old novels. And the novels are sort of like, they evoke all the themes that we've been discussing. But obviously in different ways. But he's operating on like a different, like an older model, but making it new, and that's exciting to me. Reading that, I think, had I read that prior to watching the movie, maybe I might have had a better first reaction. But it's growing on me. I like thinking about this.
That's cool. Yeah, we should definitely do some more Woo, and apply that and see if it holds up.
I bet when we get, because one of the reasons I've always, like, I think it's the same with you, Chris, is like my experience with John Woo, growing up in the 90s was, well, yeah, man, it was Hard Target. It was Mission Impossible 2. It was Face Off. Like, these.
Oh yeah.
Those are like they're interesting movies, but they're like, and they're memorable, but like they're not very good. Like, but maybe they are. Maybe we need to go back and.
Hard Target.
I don't think
is good.
I don't think you've given them a chance.
Well, I clearly I haven't. So I think we know what our next project is. Hard Target and Mission Impossible 2 is probably.
Well, we do have Silent Night coming up for Christmas, so.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Don't. I'm doubly excited for that now because you can get that everywhere. Like any streaming service.
That's ready to rock.
Yeah.
A solid 5 stars out of 10.
Yeah. We got anything else about Hard Boiled?
I think we can wrap it up there. No need to belabor the point.
Well, maybe there's some points to belabor. What else did you want to belabor? Anything? Now's your chance.
I'll scan
belabor
my
now or
notes
forever
quickly.
hold your peace.
Yeah. No, I
I'm
think
gonna
that's
tell you
about
right
it.
now. Okay. Well, then I'm going to close by saying that Chow Yun-fat is 69 years old now, and Jackie Chan is 70 years old.
There you go. God.
And we are not.
Yeah.
No. Not yet. Hopefully.
Yeah, right.
We
Check
still have a
balance
chance to
stuff.
die heroes,
Yeah.
or whatever that saying is.
Oh yeah, we don't want to grow up to be the villains or
Yeah.
whatever.
Like RDJ?
Mm-hmm.
Like Jackie Chan, apparently.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan's Master Splinter this year in a movie.
I still like him.
Yeah.
You can like him just
Hilarious.
fine. He was really charming in. He was the Sensei Wu in Ninjago movie. He did the opening skit. He had like caught all those teacups. Oh, still got it. I mean, that was 10 years ago, I'm sure. Possibly
His
20.
Master Splinter in that new movie is canon for me now.
Okay. Well, good. You heard it here first. Or second. That's weird because he's not Japanese.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, apparently not.
Oh, come on.
Cancelled.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.